Hey everyone, it's Tom here from thisonlineworld.com. I hope you're having an awesome day today. Now, I don't know if you guys remember that show called Dirty Jobs, but it was this really cool show on the Discovery Channel with a guy named Mike Rowe. Basically, Mike went through different jobs in America, the kind of the toughest, dirtiest jobs in America, and he looked at a day in the life of those jobs. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but Mike is actually a huge proponent of encouraging the youth of today to find jobs that actually exist. He actually has a pretty cool website with, scholarships and a job board, so I definitely recommend checking it out. But when I was scrolling through this website of his and I came across, his job portal on jobs that still exist, it made me start thinking about, the recent video I made on if getting a college degree is worth it or not. Personally, I'm still happy I went to college, but I kind of wanted to make a follow-up video today that looks at some of the highest paying jobs out there that don't require a college degree. I mean, obviously the world is still a little upside down, and I think there's going to be a bit of pain ahead in terms of the job market and unemployment kind of recovering. We're also going to look at the advantages of earning income earlier in life versus getting a typical four-year degree, and kind of what the power of compound interest has to do with all of that. If you're interested, be sure to watch this one until the end because some of these jobs might surprise you. Without further ado, let's get to the video. So the first job on this list is really more of a category of jobs. So I'm going to throw out a few jobs in this section, and it's really just picking a trade job in general. Bottom line is, and this has been true for a long time, and I think it's going to continue to be true, is if you want to make very good money with hard, honest work, picking a trade job is pretty much a surefire method for success. Now, most trade jobs still require you to go to school, some kind of apprenticeship program or a trade school, and this typically takes about 2 years. But trade schools cost way less than pursuing a traditional four-year college degree. In the United States, the average trade school costs $33,000 when all is said and done, whereas a college degree at a four-year program is about $127,000. When you consider that a lot of trades programs also have internships or paid work opportunities or on-the-job training as part of their education, it's looking pretty good for trade schools right now. So, what are some common jobs and what is the pay like? Well, here's some quick data just from the Bureau of Labor Statistics for 2019 earnings for these jobs on average. Plumbers typically make $60,000 per year. Carpenters make about $53,000 per year. Electricians, again, make $60,000 per year on average. Welders make $45,000 per year on average. And HVAC specialists, like the heating and air guys, they make about $51,000 per year on average. Plus, a lot of trade jobs are typically unionized, so you get into all kinds of added benefits like healthcare coverage, maybe you have dental, you have retirement plan options. There's a lot on the table for getting a 2-year degree and then hopping into a paid trade job right out of school. So I said we were going to talk about the power of compound interest, so let's do a little fun exercise here. All right, you're going to see my terrible whiteboard skills here, but let's say we have person 1, we have Jane. That's Jane. So Jane decides that out of high school, she's 18, she's going to go to a 2-year apprenticeship program. She's going to become, a plumber or a carpenter or whatever. It's about $30,000, but she has a part-time job, she has some savings, so she comes out of it at the end. She's 20 years old and she has $20,000 in debt. So she walks right into a job as well, and that job pays her $40,000 per year, and she is 20 years old. So that's Jane. That's how her life is starting out. Now, on the flip side, let's say we have Bob. You can tell I'm really good at this. So here's Bob. Bob decides that out of high school, he's also 18. He's going to go to a more prestigious university in his state or maybe out of state. He's going to pursue a business degree, and it's going to take him 4 years. On top of that, his program costs $100,000, but again, let's say there's scholarships, there's grant money. So when all is said and done, after 4 years is negative $70,000 in the hole. Now, Bob went for a business degree, exits school at 22, he has a job lined up, so things are looking okay. Bob's job also pays $40,000 per year, except in Bob's case, the main difference here is he is 22 years old, and there's this massive discrepancy in student loan debt that they're gonna have to deal with. All right, so that was my terrible whiteboard example, but let's say each person has the same level of frugality now. They're gonna tackle their student loan debt. They can each afford to pay about $500 per month. And let's also assume that student loans on average have a 4.5% interest rate. So I'm gonna hop over to a loan repayment calculator for a second, but let's look at Jane for our first example. So again, Jane has $20,000 in debt. It's a 4.5% interest rate, and spending $500 per month towards her repayment plan, it's gonna take about, a little over 3 years for her to pay off her loans. At the end of the day, she spends about $1,400 in interest on these loans, but she's walking away at about 23 being completely debt-free. Now we're gonna look at Bob. The situation is a little bit different. So aside from the fact that he is, 22 when he first starts earning his first paycheck, Bob has a lot more debt to deal with. So it's actually gonna take Bob about 15 years at this rate to pay off his loans. On top of that, he's gonna incur $22,000 in interest on his loans, which is pretty much the cost of education Jane paid for in scenario A. The main takeaway is that Bob would be debt-free around 38 years old. If we also assume that Jane started investing when she was debt-free, she's about 25 years old when she's debt-free, and Bob still has another 12, 13 years of paying off his loans, that's also another thing to consider. So if Jane took that $500 and invested, and we'll assume a conservative 5% annual rate of return here, by the time Bob is done paying off his debt, Jane has almost $100,000 in her portfolio. On top of that, she's recouped her entire education expense and has earned about $25,000 in interest. This is just really the advantage of earning income early in life and not burdening yourself with a mass amount of student debt. All right, so tangent aside, let's look at some other high-paying jobs that don't require a college degree. All right, another job on this list is to be an elevator technician or repairman. Now, until humans invent teleportation, elevators are not going anywhere, so this job market isn't massive, but it's in demand and it's very well paid. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, elevator repair techs make about $85,000 per year on average. The job market is also growing, and you really just need a high school diploma and then a quick apprenticeship program, and there's tons of on-the-job training as well. This is definitely one of the highest paying jobs that doesn't require a degree, and if you like working with your hands and you like the idea of having a trades job, I think this is another excellent option to consider. Another job that you can consider is being an airplane mechanic or airplane technician. Obviously, the airline industry is hurting right now and flights have been drastically reduced, but airlines aren't going anywhere in the future, and neither are airplane technicians because we need planes to navigate around the world. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, airplane mechanics make about $65,000 per year on average. Now, you have to go to an accredited trades program or school for this, but some people also learn through the military, so that is another route to become an airplane mechanic. So an associate's degree in aircraft maintenance costs about $20,000 to $30,000, so it's pretty in line with what you would expect from a trade school job. On average, you're walking into a job that's going to pay you about $65,000 per year, so like Jane in our example, you can get out of student debt very quickly if you go into debt pursuing this career path, and if you start investing once you're done, you're set up for a lot more financial success than if you were burdened with a ton of student debt. Another job you could consider is being an MRI and radiology technician. This job is a bit up in the air because I've seen programs that say you need 4 years for this. I've seen some that say you just have to go to a 2-year accredited college, and it kind of varies by state, so you should actually research this one if you're considering it. So once again, the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that last year, MRI and radiology technicians made about $63,000 per year on average. Job outlook's also good. It's growing. It looks like this is going to be around for a while. It's a pretty important technology that we have in a lot of different industries, especially in healthcare. It's a quick program, and as long as you research and make sure you're going to an accredited school and it's within your budget, I think this is another awesome job to consider. So another job that's really well paid and just requires a quick apprenticeship program is being a machinist or tool and die maker. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that you earn about $45,000 per year on average with this job. This is also a fairly large job market, and again, until automation and Amazon robots rule the world, this isn't really going anywhere. If you like the idea of being a machinist, I definitely recommend checking out this job. Another job that pays incredibly well and doesn't require a 4-year college degree is being a power plant operator and distributor. Now, there's a bit of a misnomer here, and people think you can be like a nuclear power plant operator like Homer Simpson and make $150,000 per year. That's not exactly the case anymore, but for general power plants and the energy sector in general, there's a lot of job opportunities if you know where to look. So once again, BLS data shows us that you're making over $80,000 per year on average if you can find a job in this field. Granted, this industry isn't growing massively right now, but there's tons of jobs in energy. Again, you can look at things like being a wind turbine technician, which also pays very well. Bottom line is there's a ton of jobs in the energy sector if you know where to look, and most jobs don't really require that much aside from a 2-year degree and maybe some on-the-job training or certification, so it's definitely another option to consider. We're gonna wrap this video up with a few jobs I think you should avoid, or at least have a bit more skepticism when considering, because I've watched some other videos and read articles on, like the highest paying jobs that don't require a degree, and a lot of them contain these jobs, but I don't necessarily agree with their verdict or the reasoning why the jobs made the list. I've seen articles that recommend things like being an entrepreneur or making YouTube content or blogging, and as somebody who blogs and makes an okay amount of money from blogging, I have to say this is terrible advice, because for every one person who makes it, I think there's 99 who don't, and this really isn't solid career advice if you ask me. Another job recommendation I hear all the time is just become a real estate agent. This doesn't take into account that about 90% of real estate agents quit after 5 years, and this isn't because they make too much money or they decide to move on to other things. It's because they make no money at all. In fact, about 90% of all the income made in the real estate business is made by 10% of the agents. And so you have to think critically here. If you're 18 and your first inclination is not to go to school and to get into real estate, do you even have a network of people you can sell houses to? I met a few successful real estate agents in my life, and the commonality they all seem to have is they know a ton of people and they know how to network very well. Part of networking is going to school or, just growing older and meeting more people. So as a job that doesn't require a degree, I can't really suggest this one personally, but hey, there are success stories, so I guess it's up to you at the end of the day. But really the bottom line and main idea behind this video is that if you think critically about the career path you want to choose and you largely look at averages and not success stories or 1 in a million stories of people who struck it big, I think there are plenty of jobs that don't require a college degree that are still very lucrative and can set you up for a great life. So at the end of the day, I think it's really about reducing your amount of debt as much as possible, earning an income as fast as possible, and starting to invest, even if it's just a small amount, really as soon as you can afford to do so. We saw from my grotesque whiteboard example that even a difference of a couple of years and $50,000 in student loan debt makes a massive difference for your outlook financially over the course of your life. The bottom line is nothing beats hard and honest work and making an honest living, so I think plenty of the jobs on this list are a great option to consider. If you have an idea for a high-paying job that doesn't require a degree, I'd love to hear it down below so other people can kind of continue their job research and go beyond the ideas I mentioned in this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out thisonlineworld.com for more unique ways to make and save money. I'll catch you guys in the next one.